Welcome to the closing ceremony and palmarès of the Cannes Parallel Challenge 2024. My name is Arno.
And my name is Matt, and today we're going to be revealing the results of our jury exercise that we've been doing this entire time with this challenge.
Just a quick recap about how this exercise works. If you've been following us up until now, you'll know that we've watched 22 films that we're considering for the prizes we'll be giving out right now. Films can only receive one prize unless it ties director screenplay prize with an acting prize. We're allowed to have no more than one tie in this list, and any additional prizes have to have precedent within the festival's history to be allowed.
So what are the standard prizes? Well, of course, actor, actress, director, screenplay, all of those are very self-explanatory. But then, of course, there is the Palme D'or, which is the first place. This is the most prestigious award. There's also the Grand Prix, the second place. This is an all-around amazing achievement. And then there's the jury prize, which can represent the third place, but it's really just a special prize for a noteworthy film that might not quite fit into any of the other categories. We have to reward a film with all of these prizes. We're not allowed to cut any of them out.
Our first prize of the day is going to be the Palme D'or. It's our tradition here to reward the best canine performance of the selection, and this year, we are discerning the prize to Jackson in Sweat. Every influencer needs the cutest dog to accompany them, and Jackson did a terrific job.
Before we get to our main prize list, we'd like to give a special mention. And this recognition will be going to the innovation behind Francis Ford Coppola's One from the Heart, for the innovation that the film showed in creating new techniques of shooting film 20 years ahead of his time. Many of the techniques you see in studio filmmaking nowadays can be traced all the way back to the innovations that Francis Ford Coppola made with One from the Heart.
All right, now it's time to discern the screenplay prize. We have decided to reward a film that showcases an impressive collaboration in creating a rich character portrait, but also a breathtaking thriller, making you question the events at every turn. And so, the screenplay prize goes to Andrea Arnold, Lone Scherfig, and Anders Thomas Jensen for Red Road.
Red Road impressed me so much. It leaves you wondering exactly what the motivation of these characters is. The next prize that we'll be awarding is the prize for feminine interpretation, the Actress Prize. And for this prize, we'll be awarding it to someone who brought extraordinary empathy to their role, and for bringing a multifaceted portrayal of someone who might typically be portrayed as a very one-dimensional person. And this prize will go to Magdalena Kolesnik for Sweat.
Beautiful performance.
The next prize that we'll be handing out is the prize for masculine interpretation, the Actor Prize. And actually, we are stepping just a little bit out of the norm, and that's because one of our films in competition cannot be defined by one performance, but instead is defined by the beautiful work of the entire ensemble of men. And that prize goes to Sink or Swim. And Arno, I will need your help with pronouncing all of these French names.
The swimming team ensemble of Sink or Swim are Mathieu Amalric, Guillaume Canet, Benoît Poulvord, Jean-Hugues Anglade, Philippe Catherine, Félix Mosti, Alban Ivanov, and, I'm not going to get this last name right, Balasingam Pamishelvan.
Incredible ensemble work.
It's now time for the Director Prize. We've decided to reward a film with a very unique and uncommon filmmaking method and grammar. A film like no other in our selection that we thought was directed beautifully. The prize for mise en scène goes to Miguel Gomez for Taboo. It's the only film in our lineup that cares to show us crocodiles.
And And the next prize to award is the Jury Prize. We'll be giving this to a film that exhibited exceptional work with the ensemble, with the screenplay, with the opulence of the direction. This is a film that is just incredibly well-rounded in all aspects. And that is Paolo Sorrentino's Il Divo.
An all-around exemplary film. Only 2 prizes remaining, and we will start with the Grand Prix. We decided to give it to a film of great courage that shows the will and the resilience of a director towards his government, his country, but also a work that crosses boundaries and that seeks to explore moral ambiguities. The Grand Prix is discerned to A Man of Integrity, directed by Mohammad Rasulov.
It's an honor to award a filmmaker as courageous as Mohammad Rasulov. And for our final award of this year's Cannes Parallel Challenge, the Palme d'Or. For the second time in our challenge's history, we are unanimous in our decision here. Unanimous as 2 of us. But this is a film that struck both of us incredibly deeply in its originality, in the prowess of the filmmaking form, and in the courage of speaking out against a repressive government. And this is why our Palme d'Or this year will be going to Janka's A Touch of Sin.
A film that we both greatly admire, and one I think we can be proud of rewarding this top prize.
And with that, that is our Palmarès. Let us know what you've thought about this year's Cannes Parallel Challenge. Have you caught up with any of these films? Are you more interested in any of these filmmakers now?
We'll talk in a little bit more detail about our deliberations in the next episode, so stay tuned for that.
And though our main challenge may be finished, we do have one final film to talk about. We have selected a closing night film to finish off this year's Parallel Challenge. The film that we have chosen this year is Laurent Cantet's The Class. This was the recipient of the 2008 Palme d'Or, and we are watching it this year as a tribute to Laurent Cantet, who has just passed away within the last month. And we thought it would be a great opportunity to revisit this Palme d'Or winner.
Neither of us are incredibly familiar with Cantet's work. This is the only film that both of us have watched from him, but it does show us the kind of style of filmmaking and the subjects that Cantet likes to tackle, notably in works like Time Out and Human Resources as well, which is to say very naturalistic depictions of workplaces using non-actors. But to speak about The Class, this is a film that takes place in a school in an underprivileged neighborhood, and we mostly follow a French teacher played by François Bégodeau, who is the author of the book Between the Walls, which the film is loosely based on.
That is actually the French title of the film, Entre les Murs, and that's what the film is. This is a story that takes place in the walls of a classroom. We don't go outside of that, really. We stay in the school. We're not focused on the life of these people outside of the class. The film understands that a teacher's job is that they show up, they do the best with the kids that they have, and then those kids will move on and they will have new students coming in. And so here, we only get these vague impressions of what these students might be like, and we only understand them in the context of how they are in the class. We don't know what's going on at home.
I have seen a similar film, which admittedly came out afterwards. It's called Mr. Bachman and His Class. It's a documentary, but it is about this teacher in a school with underprivileged or immigrant kids. However, unlike our main character in The Class, he has a very unconventional and very empathetic teaching method in Germany. I would really recommend you checking out this documentary. I think it does an excellent job at seeing the difficulties of teaching underprivileged kids. And I think what The Class really shows us is that whatever romanticization we have about having a teacher who is very good at his job, there's not going to be a Robin Williams coming in here and inspiring all the students to be themselves and to emancipate themselves from their social status status, and we're just left with a teacher and students who are clearly from very different backgrounds, who are unable to get on the same wavelength. And I think the classroom scenes here are incredibly engaging because of how that dynamic works.
In most American portrayals of classrooms on film, we see teachers as heroes because they can make a difference in the lives of kids. Whereas in the class, a teacher can't always make a difference, but they still try. They still go to work every day, they put in the hours, and that is a heroic act. And like you were saying, the naturalism of these kids is such a high point of the movie, and this is because Cantet, he used a lot of improv throughout the film. The reason why these kids sound like kids is because they're talking like kids. Bigodeau, he is a teacher by trade before he is a maker of cinema, and so he is working with these kids as he would be in a classroom, and that result comes through. It feels like docufiction because it truly is. It's a blending of life and cinema.
And we should specify that there are people who are acting, but there are no actors. Every kid you see in this classroom are not actors, and they haven't acted since. They've just kept going in their own lives. Bigodeau, being the most famous person here, is not an actor either. He is primarily known as a writer and a political commentator, also a podcast host. But Laurent Cantet asked him to act here because this is very much based on his experience, right? He is the original writer of this book. Cantet creates situations here that are completely organic, even if they have to follow perhaps a few narrative beats. And that's why it feels so realistic. There's not gonna be a random cameo from Sandrine Bonnaire or have the lead teacher who's played by Pierre Ninet for no reason. And that's what makes the film feel like it is made completely outside the French studio system, because it is. In the final episode, I talked to Matt on the ground at Cannes to see what the buzz is like over there.
Join us as we catch up and see which films are worth looking forward to.